Welcome back to Reading Bear. Today, we will take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. And if you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comments. Let's go!
The first story is titled, How a Customer Gave Me a Nice Break Every Week. I deliver food for a major company for a living, and while most of our customers are very nice, we get the occasional person who drives us crazy. One customer requested her food be delivered at 5:30 p.m. I left the store at about 5:20 p.m., knowing it'd take about 10 minutes to get there. I ended up getting stuck behind slow drivers and arrived at 5:34 p.m. This woman flipped out. She was yelling at me and telling me that when she requests something for a specific time, it had better be there at that time, no sooner, no later. I got where she was coming from, but due to a variety of reasons, including not wanting drivers to drive dangerously to arrive at the specified time, we cannot guarantee that it'll happen on the dot. She wasn't hearing any of it. No tip, but that was no surprise given her reaction. The following week, the same woman ordered again for the same time. This time around, we had more help in store and I got the order out earlier than normal. I thought duck it and went to get something to eat. I parked on the next street over and ate my food slowly, then delivered her food at exactly 5:30 p.m. This time around she was on her phone and didn't say a word to me. No tip again. This process repeated, but I came to enjoy having some quiet time to eat, even if I wasn't getting tipped. One day I was in a particularly mischievous mood and decided to just sit outside her house and eat my lunch. When I finally rang the doorbell at 5:30 p.m., she immediately whipped open her door and yelled, "Have you been sitting outside my house this whole time with my food?" "Yes." "Why in the hell didn't you bring it to me then?" "'Cause you said when you ordered something for 5:30, you wanted it at 5:30. It's 5:30. Didn't want to bring it to you too early." No tip. Worth it. The next story is titled, You Leave Too Early. I was a system administrator for a big, 3-letter telecom company in the one small, department. There were 2 admins, me and JJ was awesome. Super intelligent, very friendly, and was great at his job. He and I decided that I would come in early and he would stay late, so there was more coverage during the day. It worked great for both of us for a few years. I would get to work around 6:30 a.m. I would review all the system-generated reports overnight, check the health of the servers and database, and then generate the daily reports for various managers throughout the company, including my own manager and his boss. After 9 hours, plus 1 for lunch, I would go home around 4:30 every day. Jay would show up around 10:30 and would usually be the last person to leave around 7. My old boss left and my new boss, T, was a major idiot and a huge asshole. He knew nothing about IT and should have never been put in charge of people. He was a nepotism hire. After about 6 months of T working there, he brought me into his office. He said that he was very concerned about how I would just up and leave each day at 4:30, so consistent that you could set your watch by it. I tried to explain that I'm there at 6:30 3 hours before he showed up and 4 hours before Jay showed up, but T was having none of that. I was leaving way too early. I asked him what my hours should be. He said I should be more like Jay. He said Jay is usually here long after everyone else leaves. Once again, I tried to point out that Jay gets there at 10:34 hours after me, and leaves by 7, an 8.5-hour day, with an hour lunch, where I get there at 6:30 and leave at 4:30, a 10-hour day, with an hour lunch. T just couldn't comprehend that. So, I complied. I told him that I would be the last one to leave from now on. T was happy. So, I came to work about 10:15 the next morning, which was a Friday. I started my normal routine and about 10 minutes later, Jay came in. We worked the day and the last person, with the exception of Jay and me, left around 6:30. We both left at 6:45, and I made sure that Jay left the building before me. The following Monday, I once again showed up at 10:15. This time, there was about a dozen emails and a few voicemails from managers and executives all over the company wanting to know why they haven't received their daily reports. These reports were used in various Monday morning meetings all over the globe. I explained to them that my hours have changed, and they would be getting their daily reports by 1 p.m. One of those executives was my boss's boss. Before the end of the day, I was in her office with T&T's boss. I explained to her the same situation that I had explained to T before this all started. She immediately told T that the work I did between 6:30 and 10:30 was mission critical to the entire company and I was to immediately go back to my old schedule. I then sheepishly pointed out that 6:30 to 4:30 was 9-hour workdays and J's 10:30 to 7 was 7.5-hour workdays. I said I would be happy to go back to a 6:30 start time, but was going to limit my hours to 8-hour days, since I didn't get OT. So, starting the next day and every day after, I showed up at 6:30, did my work, and smiled and waved at T when I went home at 3:30 later that afternoon, so consistent, you could set your watch by it. The next story is titled, I can only deliver in the 2-hour window you set? Okay. Years back, I drove a truck-delivered furniture. My helper and I got along great and we worked very well together. The warehouse manager was kinda a douchebag that really got off on the power trip. He was always so serious, like he believed that you couldn't have fun at work. He instituted a 2-hour window policy for deliveries. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this now, but it was new to the company. He would create our route for us, time everything in his head and create a schedule. He would then call the customers and let them know what 2 hours we would be expected at their house. The first day the policy was in place, my partner and I kicked ass. We got so we were ahead of our window, so I called the next customer and asked if they minded if we came early. The customer was very happy that they didn't have to wait. I did that for the rest of the deliveries that day. We ended up back to the warehouse before our last delivery was even scheduled. Did we get a great job? Did we hear, maybe I messed up on the scheduling? No, we hear, you broke the rules by going to the customer's house before I said you could be there. If it happens again you will get written up. Okay. We would start out our day busting ass. We would fly through the deliveries until we reached a time where we'd just stop for an hour or two. I live in New Jersey, there is a lot you can do. We went to arcades, museums, the beach. All paid time because we wouldn't want to break the rules and get written up. The next story is titled, Please change your Facebook review to a positive one, okay. A few years ago I bought a new shed-sunroof combination for my garden. It was pretty expensive and thus I also paid for the company to build it. Knowing me, I would mess up, so I was happy to pay for a professional to come fix that for me. The shed has a roof with a bitumen topping, it looks like very thick sandpaper. The professional builder tacked it in place and that was that. I asked him if no glue would be needed to keep it in place, but obviously I know nothing and that was a dumb question. Lo and behold, 6 weeks later a mild storm blew off the entire bitumen topping of the roof. I called the company only to be told I should have known this would be a temporary roof and these need to be changed like every year. Can you smell the BS? I replied, it has only been 6 weeks, you need to come fix this. Nope, a storm was the reason for damage, act of God, no help from them. Well okay, they promised to send a new roll of bitumen so I could replace it myself. I waited, no bitumen. I went to their Facebook page to find lots of people complaining about similar stuff. I wrote a review warning people to not buy their expensive sheds as they get built wrong and any damage resulting from this does not get resolved by them whatsoever. Mind you, this shed was over €1,000. A half an hour later I get a phone call from said company. They tell me they will come the next day to put on expensive shingles to make up for the damage, at their own cost. But I do have to change my review. I waited for them to come fix it, and they held to their promise. So did I. I wrote on their page how they came and fixed my roof, even exchanged the material for a much more expensive solution, the very next day, at their own cost. Needless to say, this caused a crapstorm of customers demanding the same solution. You're welcome, a-holes. The next story is titled, Super Religious Family Won't Let Their Kids Say good because only God is good. So my roommate's sister is some kind of religious tyrant and apparently doesn't let her kids say common words and phrases including, oh my God, oh my gosh, goodness, awesome, good, or great. Because only God can be those things. Cue me being a bit of an asshole. My roommate and I went to his sister's house to drop something off and I made sure to use words like venerated, sacrosanct, sublime, and pietistic when talking about the most mundane things. I got a couple of half-awkward smiles, clearly showing she had no idea what I was saying. The next story is titled, You Want 4? You Get 4. Rather minor, but cashiering doesn't offer many opportunities for MC, so I'll take what I can get. One of those very loud customers came up to the counter and tossed a round battery onto the counter. "Hey, you have that battery?" I check the size, and confirm that we do sell 2032s. "Well, are you gonna go and get it?" I walk over to the battery rack, pull one out, and return to the register. As soon as I step back there, and no earlier, I need 4 of those. I go back out, and instead of putting it back and grabbing the 4-pack, I pull down 3 more single packs and once again return. Altogether they cost about twice as much as the multi-pack, but you can't put a price on shaving 10 steps off your shopping trip. The next story is titled, "Tell Me to How to Handle My Twin Toddlers." I will gladly take your helpful and very unsolicited parenting advice. I was at the doctor's office today and had to bring my 15-month-old twins with me. These kiddos do not enjoy being cooped up in a stroller, but letting them wander around isn't an option since they both will immediately bolt in opposite directions. They have clean nappies, they've been fed and hydrated, so at this point any fussing is just stroller-related crankiness. In preparation for having to wait a while and wanting to be considerate of the others who were in waiting room purgatory with me, I packed the diaper bag full of endless snacks and sippy cups. Sure enough, 5 minutes in they lose their mind, so I instantly start giving them snacks and also walking back and forth in the very large waiting room. I am at the back area and not even close to being in anyone's way, and as long as I am pacing, the beasties will quietly munch away on their Cheerios. At one point I stop pacing to hear the doctor mumble the next patient's name in another barely audible whisper, and this is where cranky old lady decides to weigh in on my parenting. I hear a huffing noise and look over at her, and the second we make eye contact she says, "Oh my god, you have got to stop walking up and down that back area. You're making me dizzy. Also, you really shouldn't be feeding them that much, just sit down and they will relax too. Watching toddlers really shouldn't be that hard, hun. Thanks." Firstly, while my girls are very healthy, they were preemies born at 3 pounds, 1.5 kilograms and are still very tiny, so I will feed them all the damn Cheerios I want. Secondly, I am doing all this not for myself or the twins but for the benefit of all those around us. Finally, I was waiting to find out if my scans showed cancer or not. Hooray, scans were clean, so I was all out of ducks to give at the moment. Now for the malicious compliance. I take her advice and sit down. Right next to her. Tons of empty seats everywhere, by the way. Instantly they start screaming their heads off, and what do? I pull out my book and start reading. Anyone who has ever been seated next to a stranger's baby having a meltdown, close your eyes, imagine that crappy moment, and now double it to account for twins. Within 5 minutes she is looking like she is about to snap and suggests they might want a snack. To which I calmly respond, "Nah, I really shouldn't be feeding them that much," and calmly turn the page of my book. 10 minutes later my name is finally called and this lady looks like she is ready to give up on life. I however have read my first chapter in ages. I guess watching toddlers really isn't that hard after all. The next story is titled, "If You Want Me to Talk in Front of People, I'm Bringing My Dog." And human remains. So, I've spoken about my dogs on here before. I train search and rescue, human remains detection dogs, which basically means we wander around disaster sites, crime scenes, and wilderness area searches looking for bodies or other remains, to put it very simply. This story is a couple of years back. When I was in college, I was required to take a public speaking course. I have stage fright and social anxiety, so this was basically torture. My instructor was pretty jaded, and didn't much care that I was having a panic attack on stage. She suggested I talk about something I'm more comfortable with, and to toughen up. The final was supposed to be a demonstrative and informative presentation, and 30 minutes long. Fine. My dogs have clearance by campus police to train on the university grounds, and I have clearance from city and county police to bring bio-waste materials with me throughout the county. I prepare a fancy PowerPoint presentation, and bring in my big, crazy cadaver dog and scent samples, including a human toe, blood, and bones. I spend half an hour showing how to train a dog to detect human corpses, along with a few vivid anecdotes about some of my past searches. We even let some members of the audience come handle my dog and give clicker training a try. Audience involvement in the demonstration was required. I got an A, but the mildly horrified look on my professor's face was far more rewarding. The next story is titled, Unless you're in the middle of nowhere you have to work during vacation, your salary. I work for a small company in the trades as head of the IT department, aka the only IT person. Truthfully, the gig is pretty great. Good pay, benefits, and I can come and go as I please within reason. The two people I have to answer to are the VP and CEO, and as is par for the course they know dick all about anything to do with technology and generally leave me be as I'm good at my job and everything runs smoothly. Being a small company, a lot of us don't take vacations due to A, building the company, and B, not having replacements for the time we're gone. But after 2 years vacationless, where in the US, my wife convinces me to use the time I'm given to decompress and take a small, 1-week getaway. I talk to VP and he gives me the thumbs up to take the time, barring I get everything in order and do some minor teaching to other staff in case of an emergency. Cool, easy. Enter FOD, Field Operations Director, a man who is an attack dog for the VP for no reason, as the VP is nothing but polite and reasonable. FOD loves giving everyone a hard time, adding steps to tasks to make himself look like he's part of the process, reminding everyone how much of a boss he is to the rest of us in management, and calling me a nerd any chance he gets. Fair to say, I dislike FOD immensely. After making my rounds with other staff, it's FOD's time to do some scary computer-related learning. FOD refuses to look weak under any circumstances and gets very aggressive when learning new things because I'm the boss, I already know. In the midst of learning, it dawns on him to ask why he has to learn this stuff anyway. I'm the nerd and it's my job to do this. I clue him in on the week I'm taking off and this stuff is just precautionary. This worries FOD as he'll have to retain information, answer questions and do some minor troubleshooting. The conversation went something like this, and I wish I could tell you that this guy isn't this much of a jerk, but he is. FOD equals boss, me equals me. FOD, who approved your vacation? Me, VP did, as long as I could get you guys comfortable with some small maintenance. FOD, I only approve vacation time, I'm your boss. Side note, he does this so much that VP actually wrote out the hierarchy in chart form and we all carry a digital copy with us to remind him who he's actually in charge of. Me, you're not. Shows chart. FOD, well fine. But your salary, so you have to work during your vacation. You'll bring your laptop and work phone with you. Me, when you vacation you make it very clear you're unreachable and can't be bothered even if it's an emergency. FOD, that's because I go to places without service and unless you're going to the mountains you have to work. Your salary. Malicious compliance initiated. Me, just to be clear, if I go to a place without service I won't be expected to work, yeah? FOD, that's right, but you're a nerd, you don't do anything outdoorsy. Me, great, thanks for clearing that up. Fast forward 3 weeks later and it's vacation time. All my ducks are in a row, people are comfortable with me being gone for the week and are all encouraging me to just disconnect. A close coworker of mine knows of the conversation FOD and I had and asks what I plan to do about it, so I shared my easy but effective plan. Wife and I rented a cabin in the woods, 2 hours from the nearest town, and it doesn't have service. Set up automatic email replies that have all IT questions and concerns forwarded to FOD since he's the boss, he knows. Leave work phone on the charger in my office with ringer on, door locked so he has to hear it, and voicemail changed to have FOD become IT for the week. Coworker loves the idea of flooding FOD with questions he can't answer so much that he gets other coworkers in on it. Midway through the week I get a call from coworker with an update. FOD loses it. He can't keep up with any requests for help and didn't bother to memorize the simple tasks I showed him, so he does what any good boss does and puts in a request to take a vacation until I get back. Retreat is always an option. Nothing screams leader more than retreat. It's not weakness and failure if he's not there. My coworkers were able to manage and FOD got his 3-day vacation, unfortunately. After the week off I'm called to VP's office to catch up and get things back on track. VP obviously heard of the hardships FOD faced in my absence and laughed at my MC surprisingly. VP struck a deal with me moving forward since it was made clear to him no one else knew how to do my job. I can go on vacation wherever I'd like as long as I bring my laptop and phone and check it once a week. They'll refund my vacation time for that day even if I only work for 5 minutes. I took that, but with the caveat of making FOD actually learn some of my duties just in case. VP agreed. Now I do an hour of teaching a week to a very surly FOD. After all, he's the boss, he's gotta know. The next story is titled, Warn My Sister I Was Taking a Shower as per requested. I'm home on spring break, and Saturday night after we finished watching movie, I turned on the shower, got ready to get in when it sounds like the KGB were going to break down the bathroom door. I open it expecting my dad to yell at me about something, but it's my teenage sister screaming at me to let her use the bathroom. So I get out, let her use the bathroom, she comes out again, screams at me some more about how I need to let her know when I'm going to take a shower, goes into her room, slams the door. I take my shower. I'm on a college sleep schedule, so I go to bed at 1 AM, so the next night I'm doing some work and I start to get ready for bed around 12. My sister has high school the next morning, so she's in bed. Before I take my shower, I open her door and say in a loud voice that I will be taking a shower now. The next story is titled, You Want Straighters? Okay, Mum, I'll get straighters. This particular incident was back in 8th grade, but my mum's always been competitive about scholastic achievement. I wasn't bad at academics, but saved my competitive streak for more important things like kicking my friends' asses at Street Fighter. Anyway, the morning of the math test, I felt absolutely unwell. The conversation went something like this. Mum, I don't feel good. I need to stay home. No. She's from India, they straight up don't accommodate sick days. Hopefully it's changed since. I tried to explain America is more chill about these things, but somehow it didn't work. So I sped through the test, handed it in, ran out the door, with permission, and vomited in the first toilet I got to. Yeah, definitely going home for the day. As a result of subpar performance on said test, my grade for the quarter was an A. Q Mum, an A is the same as a B+. You need to do better. I was pretty salty about the situation with the test, so like any 11-yo with cable and my own room, I binge-watched Toonami instead of paying attention to my math homework * for the rest of that semester. Shockingly at the end of it, I had a B+. Mum wasn't pleased. Some kind of generic yelling later, I came back with, it's the same as an A. Welcome to the commutative property, Mum. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.